I want to show you an image that I saw over the weekend. It's an Abolish Australia shirt draped in a Palestinian flag. I want to ask you, David, does that suggest there's more to anti-Semitism than just anti-Israel protests? Do you think there's a general hatred of Western civilization involving many of these people and the motivations for their protests?
It's a really interesting observation that, Abolish Australia is a very powerful message.
Yeah.
And what we have been finding is that if you're into one of the isms, if you're into socialism, if you're into communism, if you're into Nazism, if you're into Islamism, in other words, an ideology which is contrary to Western society, which is contrary to Judeo-Christian values, then almost reflexly you will have, consciously or unconsciously, a hatred of Israel.
Right.
You will campaign, because that's where it all began. That's where the Judeo-Christian values began. That's where the moral codes of the Ten Commandments and the subsequent developments were implemented. That's where both the Judeo and Christian side began. So we are seeing an active undermining of Western civilization. It's not an exaggeration to say this is a civilization war and that Israel versus Hamas is just the tip of the iceberg. Abolish Australia, what's that got to do with a conflict in Gaza?
It's interesting you say that, because there is support for the Jewish community coming from Christians in Australia, and the Australian Christian lobby have begun a campaign against anti-Semitism.
Look, this is very heartwarming, and we're very grateful for it, because there have been times, frankly, when the Jewish community has felt both vulnerable and isolated. And to learn a couple of weeks ago that the Australian Christian lobby was launching a campaign against anti-Semitism, and one of the initiatives is an online petition. And if I might appeal to all the Sky listeners,
do it.
Simply to go to the ACL website, which is acl.org.au. Sign the petition if you oppose anti-Semitism. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not, or religious or not. If you are prepared to put your name to opposing anti-Semitism, it costs nothing. It's something that everyone can do, and we would like to deliver a massive sign of support to the authorities that they need to be more effective.
Terrific. I'd encourage everybody to do that. David Adler, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, James.